Greetings, everyone, and Happy New Year. I am Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums alongside in the co-captain's chair from Grant's Rock Warehouse and the Contrarians, Mr. Grant Arthur. What's going on, Grant?
Hey, Pete, nice to see you. Thanks for having me. It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day on the day that's not New Year's Eve. Through the magic of YouTube land,
Right.
yes, we have not recorded this on New Year's Day, but you are all watching it on New Year's Day. It's actually the Saturday before, and it's a beautiful day, although it's raining here in New York, Grant.
Looks
Again,
like
it
hell
has
here in
rained
Ohio.
all week long. My wife and I were just talking about how disgusted we are with this weather because it's like balmy, 40, 50 degrees. It was almost 60 yesterday, rainy, dreary, just blah. I'd almost welcome cold and snow at this point just for something different, you know?
Yeah, me too. It's just well, Ohio. Now I feel like it's you and Martin and I. It's just
I was just going to
dreary and
say, see that? We got another member of the Contrarians on talking the weather with me, right? So
what is
some
up
things
with
never
that?
change here.
Bizarre.
Good perception, good perception. So
So
we've
there
got
you
today
go.
for you a very fun show. Grant and I spent numerous minutes before
Oh,
we even started recording talking about how tough this one was. We're going to tackle our top 10 favorite albums from the Todd Rundgren solo catalog, which, if you know anything about Todd, there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of really good ones. So this was very difficult. We've been actually working on this one for a number of weeks, getting set. Both Grant and I were saying that even like a half hour ago, we were changing our ranking, and yeah, this is very tough. So, what do you think, Grant? Should we do two at a time?
uh, we can do two.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Okay, why don't we do that so we move through the ranking a little quicker.
Okay.
So yeah, so for those of you watching, if you haven't already gotten your ranking set, do them while you're watching. You should have done it already. You should have done your homework, but
That's right.
have Grant start off with number 10 and number 9, and over to you, my friend.
Okay, let me start off by saying this. Like Pete said, we went through I just before we started to record, I revamped my lineup because the thing with Todd, there's certain criteria. There is no bad Todd. It's kind of like there's really no bad Rush. There's really no bad Todd. There's just different levels of Todd.
Yep.
And the way I look at it's like this. I look at production, I'm looking at sequencing, I'm looking at Todd's vocals, I'm looking at the songwriting. There are so many criteria. And the other thing, if someone's watching this and they don't really know Todd, what would I recommend them to start out with?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking at it because I love all these Todd records. So don't when I start ranking them, it's like picking your favorite child. Okay. So, but they all have to fit somewhere. And when I look at my ranking, I'm surprised where some things land. So my number 10, you're probably going to go, Grant, you're out of your mind, but wait till you hear what I have to say. My number 10, I I am shocked. I'm going to go with Faithful, and I'm going to tell you why. First half, it's all Todd doing, recreations, re-recordings of the Beatles, of the Beach Boys, um the Yardbirds, Jimmy, all great. I think that's wonderful. But side two is almost like a continuation of Something Anything. And the critics always they always go back to Something Anything as the best Todd Rundgren album. We want more of that. Everybody always wants more Something Anything. I get it. Side two of this record delivers that. Oh my God. Side two on this is absolutely brilliant. Black and white, heavy guitar, love of the common man, perfect power pop, ladies and gentlemen. When I pray,
He's got a
cliche.
lot of them. He's got a lot of them, as we will
Okay, so
discuss.
this fits right in with Something Anything. So if you love Something Anything, you'll love this. But the problem is, you've got side one, which are covers. Yes, Todd is great in the studio. Yes, Todd can duplicate anything, except it sounds like Todd singing, which is fine. But what we've got here is an EP because the first half I'm considering it a throwaway just because, yeah, I can do it. Look what I can do in the studio. Hey, everybody, it's awesome. But we've got 6 tracks, which really is an EP. So I'm putting it at the end because even though those are great tracks, that's my number 10. My number 9. I'm gonna have to go with Tortured Artist Effect.
Great album.
Great record. Don't get me wrong. This is the end of the Bearsville era. Todd at this point was disillusioned with Bearsville. They were giving Utopia. They shelved Swing to the Right for a year. He wanted it out. He had to re-record some things. They weren't letting Todd be Todd. Okay. So by this time, Todd's disillusioned. He just throws together a record, and here we go. Finishes the contract. Except a cappella, that was for Bearsville too. But okay. But anyway, this he just kind of threw this out. Now you know when Todd just throws stuff out, it all ends up kind of being like something anything, kind of, because those tracks, Todd could write that stuff all day.
Yeah.
I saw you want let's say Hideaway. He could write that kind of pop song over and over again. So we get a lot of that. What else do I want to say? It's okay, but it just seems like, what do I want to say? It just feels like there's just a lot of tracks thrown together. It doesn't seem like a fully realized album. Todd a lot of times sounds better when you deconstruct Todd and look at the albums by tracks, as opposed to an album. I just think that this just seems like a bunch of tracks thrown together. That's okay. You've got Tin Soldier, you've got some covers. It's okay. I just don't think it's fully realized, Todd. That's all. That's all. It's still great. You've got Bang the Drum All Day on here.
Right.
It's an anthem. Well, kind of. Just One Victory's an anthem, but every sporting event plays that. So, it has to say, I never want to hear it again, but there it is. That's my number
I
9.
listened to it again this morning and I totally got into it.
Yeah, I was going through everything this morning to just going, yep, yep, yep. And then I changed a damn ranking.
I know, I know.
So I kind of went back to what I went to originally, believe it or not. I thought, just leave it. People will understand. Hopefully I make sense.
They will. To comment on Faithful. So Faithful didn't make my top 10. I
Oh,
wanted it to, but I pushed it out for the very reasons you gave, because it's mainly kind of like a extended EP, and because of all the covers are great. Todd does great covers. He makes them Todd Rundgren songs.
yep.
So spoiler alert, Faithful probably is number 11 for me, because I'm glad you included
Oh
it.
my God,
I
Pete, you're going to
wanted
set the internet on fire. The Todd Rundgren fans are going to rush your house because you got to. I'm worried about that because there are hardcore Rundgren fans out there. But we're just trying to be honest and trying to turn people on. So
just
yeah,
trying. That's it. That's
11's good. I go with 11. That's fine.
11's good, right? That's yeah. Number 10 for me. I'm gonna go with the second album from 71, Runt, The Ballad of Todd Rundgren. Yes, he's sitting at a piano with a noose around his neck. Um, what's really cool about a lot of these albums, and we'll talk about some of them where this is even more the case, is like, he plays like almost everything and does all the vocals on
Uh-huh.
so many of these albums. Here on the second album, he's still got the Sales Brothers working with them and a bunch of other musicians. He would work with future and then current members of Utopia and all these other cats, studio musicians. But for the most part, he plays piano and keyboards and guitars and both voices and bass and just all this other shit. So, but there's some great songs on here. Long Flowing Robe is awesome. Uh, the rocker Bleeding sounds like that could have been bleeding off the debut. Debut's got a very certain sound to it that some of the other albums don't, because I think that was a continuation of the Nas. But Bleeding could have come off that. You got Wailing Wall is a wonderful piano ballad. You got Range War is totally catchy. Chain Letter is this really good rocker that uses, God, I feel like I've been saying it like a broken record of late. These artists and bands that in the studio use acoustic and electric guitars so well, like the acoustic underneath the electric and vice versa. I love when guitar players do that. I mean, that's just the way they kind of like layer that. It's so good. He does that on that song really nice. Be Nice to Me and A Long Time, A Long Way to Go were the two singles on the album. They're good. I don't think they're great. He's done much better singles, but they're both really good, kind of like piano-y ballads. Really like that. Hope I'm Around is really good. Parole is a nice bluesy hard rock song. I wish there was a little more hard rock on this album. That's why it's kind of a little low. But here you get a lot of piano. I mean, the cover is basically let you know what you're going to get here. It's mostly
Yeah.
piano ballads with a couple rockers, but it's a fun album, really well done. His vocals are great. That's my number 10. And then number 9, this one, Grant has moved all over my ranking. And
Uh-oh. Well,
it's Acapella from 1985 is 11th album. This is, you know what's really amazing about this album? And I hadn't, before we got ready to do this show, I hadn't listened to this in a long time, like a long time. This album is so influential on so many other artists and bands who do this a cappella thing now with no instruments in more recent years. There's that one kind of pop band that does all the holiday things. My son listens to them all the time. That's something phonics. I don't know. I can't think of the name of
I
them.
don't know. These new band, who knows?
Whatever they're called. Anyway, they're very good. But man, none of that would have existed without this album. This is if you never heard this album and you knew nothing about what it's all about, you just put it on, you'd be like, oh, that's a really cool band, right? There's some great songs. Look at all those vocals. Oh, love those drum beats and all that kind of shit. Nope, there's no guitars, there's no keyboards, there's no nothing on here but Todd's vocals overdubbed a million different ways, and it really works. I mean, his vocals, his voice, doing all the rhythms, everything. It's just amazing. Blue Orpheus is great. Sounds like a full band. Most of this stuff sounds like a full band. Johnny Jingo is tribal sounding, so freaking catchy. Haja is great. Something to Fall Back On is a lovely pop song. Really, really good. Lockjaw is hard rock. But Pete, how can you do hard rock without guitars and drums? I don't know. Todd knows because Todd is God, right? So yeah, it's just crazy. Um, I'm amazed that this album just kind of sank without a trace. This should have been, I think, a really big album. There's genius all over it. You would never guess that there's nothing but Todd on voices on here. And again, so influential. And it was really fun revisiting this again after all these years. And it makes it all the more amazing that he was able to pull this off. I don't know how long this took in the studio or why anybody would even.
Oh, it took a long time.
And then they did the record label didn't want to release it, right? They held it for like a year or so.
Bearsville, Albert Grossman got it and thought it wasn't commercial enough. He didn't know what to do with it, so they shelved it.
Yeah.
And between Bearsville went bankrupt.
Mhm.
All their artists got sucked into Warner Brothers. Todd got sucked into Warner Brothers.
They didn't know
So
what to do with them. Like,
Acapella came out, which brilliant. I mean, it's really close to my ranking here. So, but anyway, they shelved it. I don't think Warner Brothers really promoted it, though. I do remember seeing a little bit of promotion, maybe in Rolling Stone back in the day. But yeah, Cutting Edge, it was all done on an emulator. I mean, in a Fairlight. I mean, it was brand new technology. It was supposed to come out in 1984.
yep, yep.
And Todd's always cutting edge with technology and everything. And the fact that he did it, and considering how technology was back in the day, it took a long time for Todd to build this record. And Cutting Edge, I mean, it's a five. These are all 5 stars, all mine ranking here. They're just different levels. But it's a wonderful record. The songwriting, the production. It's like I look at this record and I think it's like one of the last great efforts from Todd as far as really, really strong songwriting. Pretend to Care will just tear you apart. It's just the most beautiful thing, one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. And it's all his voice.
That's it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's actually my number 7. So I'm just kind of putting it all together, but it's absolutely stunning. And I saw him on that tour too.
Oh, did you? Wow. Okay.
It was incredible. Of course, he had basically a choir with him. Chasm was singing. Who else was in there? Michelle was up there, his wife. It was incredible. And everything was just, I don't think they played anything. There was no instrumentation. It was all vocals. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. So
Guy's a genius.
yeah, that would be my number 7. Since I'll piggyback onto that, but you want me to just go ahead and do my number 8?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we're keeping it loose here in Sea of Tranquility world. So my number 8, beautiful record, beautiful record. I'm gonna go with Healing, and I think was that 1981. I think it was after Hermit, so I should get my notes up so I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is the ninth album, 1981. This is very spiritual, almost. Oh, what would I want to say? Talks about the human condition, but there's something about it. The all the tracks kind of flow together, but they don't. But there's nothing that really sticks out. It just kind of flows, and the vocals on here are absolutely stunning. I think this is some of Todd's best vocal work because it's so soulful. It's so deep. This record's very deep,
And
you
the
know.
arrangements are very sparse too, and allows for that to really come
A
through.
lot of keyboards, which are fine because the keyboards on this record really don't, they're not like digital keyboards or, analog stuff. It doesn't really date the record too much. But Healer, Pulse, and they're all like one word titles. Healer, what a beautiful opener. Pulse, Flesh, Golden Goose is kind of, uppity. Compassion, absolutely stunning. I think Todd still probably sings that when he goes out. Uh, and it also came with a bonus 7-inch. Now, if you get the CD, those are on here. So it had Time Heals and Tiny Demons. And I think back in the day, Tiny Demons might have been on, God, was it Miami Vice? I think so. It was on some show. I think it was on Miami Vice back in the day. But I still like this. Part of my other criteria is kind of like, well, look, you just picked a cappella, but you hadn't listened to it in years. This I still pick out quite a bit. I might not return to a cappella as much because it is kind of a niche. It's experimental. It's Todd at his best. But this is very accessible and I don't know. You would think there was something anything people would love this, but it doesn't seem to get much love so much. And back in the day, I don't know if you remember this, but going through the record bins, this was in the cutout bin all the time.
Yeah,
It
quite a
didn't
few of these were.
sell anything.
Yeah.
Probably got no promotion from Bearsville. I don't think Albert Grossman he just let Todd do whatever he did, and I don't think they cared. It's sad. Todd should have been way bigger than he was.
I will echo that 100%. I think right before we started recording this, I said one of life's greatest mysteries to me is how this guy wasn't a mega star. It's all the talents there. I mean, vocalist, songwriter,
But he
musician.
still kind of sabotaged himself. Had he would have kept going with something, anything, instead of putting out a Wizard. I mean, come on, as great as Wizard is, that's like career
It's not
suicide.
commercial. Yeah, it's not. That's
No,
not going to sell millions of copies. No, no,
right.
not at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not what Todd was about. So
No, he wasn't. He
anyway,
wasn't.
that was a went on a tangent, ladies and gentlemen.
A Todd tangent.
Yeah, there you go. All right. I guess that was my well, I did my
7 and 8.
you're 6. No, you're 7 and 8. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go. This might surprise some people. I think this one could have been higher, if not for a couple things or one thing. I'm going to go with Initiation from 1975, sixth album. There's some great stuff on here. You got most of Utopia playing on this album. So, some of these Todd's solo albums around the time when Utopia were formed, it's like, the solo records are basically almost Utopia.
Faithful's Utopia in a
Yeah.
Todd name.
Yeah.
It is Utopia.
Yeah.
Wilcox, Sigler,
Yeah. They're all there, right? They're all
they're
there.
all there.
Real Man opens up one of his great atmospheric pop gems. Killer song. I think Born to Synthesize, we were talking about acapella before. There are a couple of tracks on some of these albums in between here and there that I think foreshadow what he would later do on acapella. Born to Synthesize is basically one of them. Really eerie, weird song. I was listening to it again yesterday and thinking, God, that's like, did he start ruin the whole idea for acapella way back then? I don't know. It's possible.
Maybe.
Death of Rock and Roll, blistering hard rock. I mean, killer guitar work, excellent vocals. I think Todd is a great rocker. He just doesn't choose to do that all the time. Eastern Intrigue is really weird and bizarre. So much fun. The title track is great. I love the way he blends like pop harmonies with like prog rock guitars and keyboards. Just so good. Fair Warning is big and lush, and then you got the elephant in the room, which is the
Yeah,
reason why I didn't rank this higher, because a treatise on Cosmic Fire is just way too fucking long. 36 minutes. There's some brilliant stuff on here. It's basically this, it's funny. You talk to most proggers, Grant, and they're like, oh,
mhm.
this is the best album from Todd in his solo catalog. And they say that because it's got a 36-minute long tune in there, which is
Well,
all proggy and fusion, weird
yeah, yeah.
garden
It's
stuff.
Prague.
It is. It's way too long. I think if you edit that down to 20 minutes or even less of some of the best of it, you've got
Yeah.
a brilliant piece right here because some of the guitar work is phenomenal. Some of
Mhm.
the early synth work on here is phenomenal, but it's just too damn long. And what's interesting, and I always heard stories about this, but I did a little more research on it. This album is like just about 70 minutes long. This was a single vinyl release, the longest album in.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very good on vinyl.
Well, that's the thing because the longer the album is, you have to take away some of the fidelity of the sound, right? So
Mhm.
because like the second side of this is 36 minutes long, which is like a half hour longer than the longest side of vinyl at that point in
Mhm.
time, right? The fidelity had to be limited. They had obviously, like you said, it sounds like shit. So, this he
It
should have just done a double album, right? To preserve
Mhm.
the audio quality of this, but he didn't want to do it. The record label didn't want to do it. So you've got a really overlong album here where you have the first side of the vinyl is great, and the second side is just this big, long, sprawling, proggy thing that just could have been cut in half easily. But what's really great on here is really great. So that's why it's number 8 for me.
I want to say Fair Warning on there is a masterpiece,
It's so bizarre and so awesome, right? Yeah, it's just
but it is in my top 10 favorite Todd
oh
tracks.
songs. Okay,
It's
yeah,
absolute. I think it's wonderful.
yeah,
It's
and
too
it's so
bad
much
it's on Initiation. See, that would probably be my number 11. It didn't make my ranking because it's just so out there.
it
And I
is.
love Todd being out there. I think it's great. Let's be experimental. Screw this. Who cares if we get a hit? Even though
Doesn't
Real Man should have been a big hit.
Real Man should have been a big hit. It's a wonderful song. Really
But
good.
I
I
must
love
say,
the
when
title
the
track is great. I love the title track.
it's great. I must say, when in '87, when the Todd Rundgren CDs came out on the market, Rhino put them out,
Yep.
remastered them. It was like a breath of fresh air because when you got to hear Wizard, it's the same thing. It's how long is Wizard? It's the same kind of thing like
Pretty long.
Initiation.
Yeah.
All the information's jam packed in the vinyl. It sounds horrible, but
Yeah.
man, when you got to hear it on CD and it opened it up, oh, same thing with Initiation.
Yeah. I'd agree.
It needed to be on CD. That's the only way to listen to it. You
It's
know.
true. It's true. And my number 7, the ever popular Tortured Artist Effect. Grant is correct. It does sound a little kind of thrown together, but man, anybody else throws an album together, it's not going to sound this good.
No.
10th album, he's doing all the instruments on here, all the vocals he's producing. I mean, Hideaway is one of my favorite songs by him. Hideaway
Yep.
is so good. That should have been a huge hit. Again, Bearsville's not promoting any of this stuff the way they should
Mm-mm.
be. I don't even think I remember hearing Hideaway on the radio. It just screams catchy hit. Maybe it was a few years too late. Maybe Hideaway in the early 80s or late 70s does something. I don't know. The chorus is great. Influenza, Moody Pop. Todd does great Moody Pop. Don't Hurt Yourself is great. There Goes Your Baby is so catchy. The cover of The Small Faces Tin Soldier, like you mentioned, is really well done. He does great covers. We've already talked about Banging the Drum All Day. Drive is a good rocker. Chant is a really good slice of kind of quirky synth pop, right? Which he does really well.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned before how he was always on the cutting edge of technology. I mean, he's using all the latest synthesizers and things on in this period. This is like 1982. So synth pop is really sort of a thing, not a thing, but he's like on top of all that shit here. So yeah, I really like this album. This actually also was lower, and then it rose a little bit in my ranking. Some of these really moved off. This and acapella moved all
Oh,
over this.
Pete,
So
my whole ranking could change before we're even done.
before we're even done,
I
right?
must say though, what do you predominantly notice on Tortured Artist? There's something on this record that's a lot different than his other records, and you know what it is the prevalence of the Ovation 12 string.
Yeah, there's not much electric on here at all.
No, it's all he was into playing that damn Ovation 12 string, and there's nothing. Look, next position, please, Cheap Trick, all over that record because these are all around that same time period, you know?
Ovations were new and hot at the time, right? I mean, I had a regular six string back I bought in the late 80s. So it's like I was just as guilty of that as
But
everybody
you
else.
cannot mistake that sound.
It's got a
When I
very,
saw
very,
him on oh oh shoot, 89 on the tour in 89, he was playing that damn black Ovation 12 string all the time. It's fine, but it just kind of, I don't know if it dates it, but I don't like it on the Cheap Trick album. I know I'm going on a
there is a, yeah, I don't know what it is. One of the reasons why I never kept mine is because it just didn't sound good. You know, that the whole concept I think we all thought was really neat. Oh, it's got the plastic back and it looks
right.
so cool, but it just doesn't never resonated well. And it had like a sterile sound, you know, a nice
Mhm.
you know, I'm not the biggest acoustic player, but you know,
Right.
a really nice acoustic guitar, man, it just sounds like wood, right? I mean, it's the simple fact. It
Yeah,
sounds like sound coming out of a hollow wood cavern. The Ovations never had that sound. It sounded
yeah, I think
plasticky. It sounded
yeah.
fake. And you can hear it on records. I remember like when Al
It
Dominguez
sounds
played
fake
it.
on here.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does.
I just, yeah, I don't mind it when Todd uses it. I don't like it when he uses it with Cheap Trick. And we were talking about that on our Cheap Trick show. Drives me crazy, but I can get over it. But it is really predominant. But you can tell, you can date Todd by the technology because he's always cutting edge, always trying to use the latest and greatest, you
Yeah,
know? And this is a perfect example,
yeah,
using
that's
that
very true.
damn ovation. It's fine. It's all right. It is what it is.
Yep.
Okay, so what are we
Six and
at?
five, six
Number
and
six
five.
and five. Okay. Well, this is one of those records that could be higher. It could be lower. It's moved all over my ranking today, Pete. And we're gonna go with the Todd album from 19, was it 74? Double record set. Now this one got the double, it got a two record set treatment. What I don't know why. Maybe they just couldn't fit it all on one record for crying out loud. But anyway, double record set. Uh, what can I say about it? It is 66 minutes of,
Yeah.
you've got commercial tracks, you've got very experimental tracks, you've got what can I say they on the what's the one track? Sons of 1984. He records the entire audience at what when he was playing in Central Park or something where he encompasses and records the whole crowd and they sing along with him on the final track. It's pretty ambitious.
Yeah.
But like I said, one of the best tracks on here because we do get some songs on here that like an LP's worth of tunes. It's kind of like a throwaway little ditty. It's kind of fun, kind of, is it very serious?
Kind of
No, but it's
Beatles-ish. Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah. But A Dream Goes On Forever is absolutely one of Todd's best songs.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful. But it harkens back to that whole piano Todd thing. More I listen to it, I really dig Todd when he's just playing piano, and a lot of his songs are just piano based. For some reason, I keep going back to that. Another great track that I really like. Well, The Last Ride.
Oh,
Oh,
this was
Pete, that's
great.
beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Is that love? That's pop. That's right off of something, anything. You could put it right there. Don't You Ever Learn's great. But this, I think, is the perfect balance. Because if you look at Wizard, as great as Wizard is, it's going full blown 11. It's not just on set on 10, it's 11. This kind of mixes things up and kind of brings everything down a little bit. Still very experimental, but the thing is, Todd's one of those artists, and especially on this album where it really works, is that he can do one song, Dream. Let's say we're like, let's say a dream goes on forever, and then we can just follow it up with Lord Chancellor's Nightmare song. Somehow it works.
It does.
There's a method to the madness.
Yeah.
On paper, it shouldn't work. And on a lot of his stuff, a lot of his records, it shouldn't work, but it does. This is one of those. It's not, I don't think this is as good as Wizard, but it's still along those lines. So I dig it. I picked this out and listened to it quite a bit still. So it gets up there. It's my well, what did I say? That was my number six. So
Yeah.
it's a great record. Okay, my number five. Let's get some props here, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, if I could find the prop, if I can't find it, I'm gonna go with a wizard. No, I'm gonna go with Herman of Mink Hollow from 1978. When this came out, people thought this was a return to form, which it kind of was. It was much more piano based. It was Todd at this time somehow, I don't know, but his vocals had changed. Somehow he was able to refine his vocals and he wanted to showcase that off on this record. Um, what can I say? It's like one of his top records, but you seem to think that it would rate higher with me. But like I said, it could, it could switch up. But it's yet another record where he's playing all the instruments, and that's what I like. I like when Todd's playing all the instruments.
True solo album, right? Yeah,
Um, it's a true solo album. Let's look at some tracks. The reviews for around this time, All Music gave it a 5-star review. Robert Christgau didn't like it so much, but this has got the hit "Can We Still Be Friends," which put him back on the charts. But the "Hurting for You" is another great one. "Too Far Gone," Onomatopoeia. He always has one of these songs that are just kind of goofy. I mean, this is basically a song for kids. That's
yeah.
fine. It's okay. It's good. The Bag Lady's a great one. We got "You Cried Wolf," which is a rocker,
Yeah.
kind of goes against the grain with this record. "Lucky Guy," another great. There's such great songs on here. But still, it only ranked as high as it did. It could be higher, it could be lower, but it's still not quite, my top three will always be the same. You know, it can't get there, but I think it's a great return to form if you like something, anything.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody wanted. He finally gave in and gave it to him, kind of, pretty much.
Sure.
Faithful's even more something, anything to some degree, but it's a good record. It still stands up, and you can't argue that "Can We Still Be Friends" is a great, great single.
One of my favorite pop songs of the 70s. It's
It
amazing.
I listen to it and it never gets old.
Never gets
And
old.
that's a true indicator of a great song if you can listen to it and it never gets old.
Never gets old.
Yeah, if it came on the radio, I'd listen to it.
I crank it up to 11.
There you go.
I, can we still be
Crank it
friends?
up to 11 like Grand Funk Live album.
There you go.
And everybody knows that reference if you've
Yes.
watched my show.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
All right, Grant
So,
Arthur, are you ready for me to become a little contrarian right now?
well, we are getting into that. Yes, I am.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
My number six is from 2008, his 19th album, Arena.
Mhm.
Oh, oh.
The hard
Caveman
rock
Rock.
metal
This
album.
is his Grand Funk Railroad album right there. He's even dressed like they are on the
Yeah.
Survival album cover, right?
Ugh.
Man, when
Mm,
this album came out, I was like, holy shit, Todd is rocking again. This is what
right.
I waited to hear my whole life. This is basically Todd's hard rock album
Mm,
through and through. Plays all the instruments, does all the vocals, arena rock, heavy rock, blues rock. It's all here. You got the song called Mad, which opens it up, which is a snarling hard rocker, but with all those kind of utopia style vocal harmonies. And that's the cool thing about this album. So if you can think of maybe like Oops, Wrong Planet, that Utopia album, which is kind
mhm,
of punky new wave hard rock. That's kind of like this album, but it's mostly all hard rock. Afraid is a great song with big, heavy guitars. Mercenary to me sounds like Tony Martin era Black Sabbath. Yeah, on the Todd Rundgren album. Who would have thought? Courage is a little poppier, but still rocks pretty hard. On Weakness, he does, that's like his little Jimi Hendrix style song on the album. He does that every now and then. He throws in these kind of like Hendrix style songs because he's a big Jimmy fan. Strike sounds like AC/DC. I mean, what's going on here? Pissin' is total blues rock. Mountaintop is crushing like bluesy boogie. The only bad thing I can say about this album is that 13 songs, it's a little long. But man, does this thing rock. I think he's in great guitar and vocal form, and I think it's an amazing album. I wish he would do another one like this. Really, really good. Number six is Arena. I bet you didn't expect that one, right?
I did not.
Yeah. I've been a big fan since the day it came out. I really like it a lot.
Wow. Yeah, I've got
Uh,
it. I need to revisit it, but
it's really good. Again, it's not the pop stuff. It's more Todd the Rocker, but I love Todd the
yeah.
Rocker.
Hence
Just
the
for fun.
title, Arena. Well, Arena
Yeah,
Rock.
Arena Rock,
Yeah,
right? That's,
yeah.
I mean, it's just such a ridiculous cover, right? You know,
Well, Todd hasn't had any great album covers out lately. Let's say that.
no, no, not in a while now. That is true. That is true. My number five, this one also moved around quite a bit in my ranking. And this is one of those ones I think that I've always really liked, but I never really considered it one of his best, but I think it is. I'm going to go with Runt, his debut album. This is him fresh out of Nas, which I really like the Nas stuff. I think that was a really good band. I did a ranking on that not long ago. So here he's got the two Sales brothers, Hunt and Tony, who are the sons of Soupy Sales, the comedian. Really weird. And he's
Part
also
of Tin Machine too.
yes, that's true. I forgot that. Yes, that's true. Yeah, which one were they both in, or just one? Or
Both of them were in it.
yeah, God, all those years later, I totally forgot that. Yeah, that's a good point. Along with Reeves, Gabriels, and David Bowie. Yeah, very cool. You got guys from the band on here. You got some soon-to-be Utopia guys on here as well. To me, this is like an extension of what he was doing with Nas. It's a lot of rockers and some very melodic piano type stuff. I mean, Down and Busted is like total like power trio rock. Absolutely love it. Believe in Me, cool piano ballad, really nice. We Got to Get You a Woman is terrific. I mean, he is so good at doing like soulful pop. You would think that he's not a white guy from wherever the hell he's from. It's just really
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. That's what I was going to say.
Mhm.
Isn't he suburbs of New York? But no, New Philadelphia suburbs. What a chorus on that song. So, so good. Who's That Man is good. Heavy Boogie. Um, Once Burned. I like the use of organ and piano on that. I love Devil's Bite. One of my favorite songs on here. It's hard rocking and it's got tons of groove. To me, it sounds like a mix of the James Gang and Edgar Winter Group. So good. I could listen to Devil's Bite all day long. I'm in the Click is loads of fun. It's weird. It's got the Zappa zaniness going on there. Birthday Carol is blistering hard rock. You got the little medley on here, which is again is more kind of like that R&B soulful type thing. This is a really good album. I was amazed at how in re-listening to these albums recently, how higher this kept going, and I'm almost like, God, I could even probably put this higher. I have a feeling it's going to be higher for you, and
Well, you're right.
I totally get it. But yeah, this is a underrated gem in his catalog. The first one is always one of the greats, no matter who you are. So yeah,
Mhm.
number five for me is Runt. Back to you.
Yeah, it's a good choice. Good choice. All right, now we're really getting up into the
Oh yeah.
the good stuff. Now, this one is always ranked high for me. This is the opposite of Something Anything. And no one's mentioned Something Anything. I wonder where that's going to hit. But we will soon find out, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going to go with The Wizard of True Star, which was the fourth album from Todd. Came out in 1973. This is yes, this is anti Something Anything, ladies and gentlemen. This is Todd doing a lot of psychedelics and a lot of tape editing and a lot of effects. And it's just a brilliant album. And the fact that he did this then, now you would have thought that something like this would have came out in like 1967, 68. Now we're doing it in the 70s. Unbelievable. The sequencing on this record, absolutely perfect. How he came up with this, well, psychedelics, I know that. Starts off with
Do
International
some
Field.
LSD. That's how you come up with it.
That's how it works, ladies and gentlemen. International Field leads the album off. Beautiful, excellent track. Never Land. Well, we are in Never Land on this record. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that. It works out. It works. TikTok, it wears. It's all very experimental. Rock and roll pussy. It's just. And then it goes into dogfight giggle. It's just. This is an LSD record. But then it goes in a little bit of pop. You don't have to camp around, which is nice. But these are all 1 minute snippets.
Yeah. That's the crazy
The
one.
like one, two, three, four, five, six tracks before you get to Flamingo, and then it starts. Then the start songs really start coming on, but it just hits you one, two, three, four. It's kind of they might be giants. What was that? They Might Be Giants album. Can't remember. Look it up, people. I can't remember. But then you've got a wonderful song, Zen Archer.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Then another Onion Head. I mean, it's just silly, but my God, it somehow it works. So you've got all this weird experimental stuff on side one. Then you go to side two, which is the true star side, and it calms down a little bit, you know? Sometimes I don't know what to feel.
Oh, so good. So good.
Does anybody love you? Pure pop. Now we're back to pure pop again. And who can do it any better than Todd? Nobody. He knows how to write a damn pop song, even though he won't embrace it all the time. Then you go
No,
into the medley, which if you listen to Back in the Bars, they do it. I'm so proud. Ooh, baby, baby. La la means I love you. But I, I don't know how this works on a record that's so odd and so experimental. But Pete, it works.
totally works. It
It
totally.
totally works. How can you put an R&B medley on basically a psychedelic record?
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to tie you down. Pure pop, but my God, just so emotional. And if this doesn't cap the whole record off, just one victory, which Utopia would still play. Todd's always played this. This is Todd Rundgren's anthem. Just one victory. Oh my God. You know what always killed me is because you listen to the album version of, you know, Wizard, and it always sounded like crap. By the time you got to track, well, whatever that would be, I guess it would be track seven on the final side. And, you know, that's 29 minutes on that one side. It just sounded horrible. But my God, when you finally got the CD and you got to really listen to it,
Sounds great. Yeah.
it sounds great. Could have been on something, anything. It fits right in, you know. But what a way to end a record. The sequencing on this is perfect. I wouldn't change anything about it. It is a 5 star, it's a 10-star record. A must. If you're Todd Rundgren, getting into Todd Rundgren, I don't know if I'd start out here. I might start out something a little bit more accessible, but this is brilliant.
It totally brilliant. Absolutely.
Totally brilliant. Okay. I guess I'm on my number three. Let's see. My number three, you just mentioned it. If I can find it, I'm gonna go with Runt. And for everything that you said, I think Todd sounds really fresh here. I agree with the whole Nas references. It's almost like if you continued on where Nas left off, this makes a perfect sense of where Todd would go. This is where he was starting to listen to a lot of Laura Nero. He was into her. If you listen to the all the chord progressions, pick up a Laura Nero album and you'll go, "Oh my God, it's the same damn thing." He was so into her that he just damn near emulated her. And I like this album too because it just sounds like a young Todd.
Yep.
Todd's vocals hasn't fully realized his potential yet. And I
No,
don't think he knows exactly the way he should sound. But he sounds young, he sounds hungry. It just sounds like there's so much creativity flowing out of him that what a strong debut. And you've got the Hunt brothers on here backing him up, and they sound great. It's a great record. It's fun. I can't really add anything more to it than what you said, but yeah, it's great. Could
you
it
make a
have been
great point
high?
about
It
the
could have been
vocals.
higher in your list. It could have been higher in my list, but it's not.
I love your point about the vocals because, I mean, let's face it, he only did backing vocals on those Nas records, even though he wrote all the melodies and wrote all the songs,
Right.
had the other guy singing. So this is really his first time kind of out front as a voice, and he hadn't really figured his way yet. He would very quickly, but
Well,
yeah,
you know, because Nas 3 and Nas 2 were really the same record, but they erased all of his damn vocals off Nas 3 because he was singing more lead, which is it's a travesty, Pete. It's really a travesty,
yeah,
but it is what it is. Nas only had an infinite life. Todd was going, he had so much creativity and so much to offer, and Nas would hold him back, you know.
probably,
Think
yeah,
about it.
yeah,
He'd only be there for so long.
yeah.
Even though, well, if you think about that first album, you know, Todd was just going to go into the to be a producer. This doing a solo record was just kind of, hey, you know, Todd, you can do a record if you want. And he said, oh, all right. He was kind of off. He was away from all that, you know. So it's a pleasant surprise that this debut is so strong. I think it's
Yeah,
great. Highly recommend it. Get it today, kids.
get it today. That's right.
Get it today.
Or tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's a holiday, so you might not.
Yeah, we can't get it. Well, yeah.
Actually, you can order it on online any day, right? It doesn't really matter. Holidays don't matter. All right, my number four has already been mentioned. I absolutely adore this album. So this is Herman of Mink Hollow, his eighth album from 1978. Uh, Everything Grant said, I agree with 100%. He's playing all the instruments on here, all the vocals, all the children sing is wonderful, catchy, breezy pop. Love it. Can we still be friends? Yes. Could hear it every day and I would never get tired of it. It's one of
Yep.
my favorite pop songs of the 70s, like I already mentioned. Hurting for You, great soulful pop. This guy does great soulful pop. Too Far Gone is a good that's like kind of like the Utopia style rock around here, I think. Really good. Onomatopoeia, you mentioned, is quirky. It's fun. It's like a kid song. Love it. How about Bread? Man, that that chorus on it, Jesus,
Yeah.
so good. Determination could have been a Utopia song. He could have saved that for Utopia and it would have fit
Hmm.
right on any of those albums, those early albums. So good. You got the piano ballad, Bag Lady, You Cry Wolf is a fun rocker, Lucky Guy is great, Out of Control. I mean, the whole album is really good. Out of Control kind of, well, that and You Cry Wolf kind of don't really fit on this album because Out of Control is like this weird kind of like post-punk, like power pop song. It's great.
Hmm.
It's just weird because the rest of the album's not really like that. And Fade Away is just lush and dreamy. I love this. How this wasn't like a million selling record is beyond me because you're absolutely right. All the people who want another something, anything, it's right here, just condensed. This should have been
Hmm.
a mega, mega album, and it really wasn't. That's
No.
just sucks when you really think about it. And my number three is Todd. Todd is God, sort of,
Ooh.
right? He's got that messy, still high as a kite look on the front, and that's exactly what the album's all about.
Yeah, it's like the continuation of the LSD period,
Yes,
here.
yeah. But it's a great album. There's so much weirdness on here. He's got most of Utopia playing on this album as well, plus the Brecker brothers and all sorts of other people. So there's a lot of good guest
Yeah.
stars. It's just so many great things on here. You mentioned a lot of the great songs. I will say what's also really good on here is there's some really good, like heavy rockers on this one.
Mhm.
You got Everybody's Going to Heaven. King Kong Reggae is just crushing hard rock, which is different from some of the other weirdness that's on this album. Number one lowest common denominator, Todd doing the Guitar Hero thing, doing the
Oh,
Hendrix thing. Right, he's using like Univibe or Phaser on the guitar, and it's awesome stuff. You got Heavy Metal Kids on here, which Utopia would play live quite a bit back in the day. I mean, there's all sorts of great stuff on here. Spark of Life is great. Uh, this album is full of variety. Drunken Blue Rooster is kind of like bluesy boogie type thing. There's some lush, weird psychedelic pop on here.
hmm.
It's a very strange album, but I'm ranking it pretty high because I really love it a lot. And
Hmm.
I applaud it for being so different and so out there. So yeah, that's my number three. Gee, I
Yeah,
wonder what the
yeah.
top two are going to be.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I want to say though, we should mention Todd Rundgren's guitar playing
he's
because when Todd lets it rip,
yeah.
holy, well, you listen to those Utopia. I mean, really, if you want to really listen to Todd, listen to Utopia albums because he's really playing on those.
Yeah.
And but his guitar work on Todd, excellent. And man, he can just let it rip. And you could tell he was really into Hendrix though.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Big
He
influence.
nails that tone and everything. He really does.
He
Considering
does.
I'm pretty sure he was not playing Strats at that time, right? I think he was doing all that on. He was mainly using
He's probably
SG.
playing the SG then.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that was the SG. Let's see. I think that was the SG.
I
I think
think
he was
so because I
probably.
think he played that mostly during the 70s until he
Hmm.
switched off into other things. But
Hmm.
as Frank Marino showed, you can get Hendrix style guitar sounds on a non-Stratocaster, right? Because Frank Marino also played an SG, so it's never
Perfect example.
yeah. But the first time I ever heard Todd Rundgren was when I was a young kid. So this is what 77. So I was with
Mhm.
11. I bought Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell, and I was like, "Who is that guitar player? Holy shit!" Todd Rundgren. So that was the first time I ever heard Todd Rundgren in any capacity. So I, right off the bat, hearing that smoking lead guitar on the title track, "The Bat Out of Hell," was like, "This guy is amazing," and he is. Unfortunately, he doesn't play a lot of guitar on all of his albums. You get it sprinkled here and there, right? That's why I love Arena so much, because it's just all that. So that's why that to
Yeah,
me was a
it's you
refreshing
and he
change. But
can let it go. He can
yeah,
wail. What a great player.
I don't think
I
he
have to
wanted to. I
ask
don't think he ever wanted to be a guitar hero,
now
but
before
he
I go,
could be.
I haven't watched our time, but I have to ask you a question before I go to my top two.
Okay.
So your gateway drug was the Meatloaf album, but when did you really start to get turned on to Todd or Utopia, or when did that happen for you?
That was the 1981 album Road to Utopia, which is that's not
Adventures
Adventures in Utopia. That's the first Todd Rundgren album, or
and great
Todd Rundgren
guitar on
album.
there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's the reason why, because we have a local radio station here, Poughkeepsie, New York, WPDH 101.5, and they used to play the title track,
Hmm.
Road to Utopia. They used to play
Last of the New Wave
Last of the
Riders.
New Wave Riders, and that's the song that I heard, and I was like, "Holy shit, who is that?" Todd Rundgren and Utopia off their brand new album,
Oh,
Adventures in
that's
Utopia.
that's
I
a
gotta buy it, and I
great
went out and
record.
bought it. And then you got all this other stuff, which is like weird, kind of like new wave and quirky synth pop, and then also, God, I'm drawing a brain fart. The very last song on the album was also a hit. Well, at least,
Uh
uh,
oh, Chasm
yeah.
song. Oh,
I'm drawing a blank.
is
Anyway,
this where you say we have the olds? Is this appropriate?
yeah, because there's just too many songs. I'm thinking of all
I know.
song titles and stuff, but
Set me
yeah,
free.
that album was the first ever Todd album I bought, and I loved it. And you want to know what
Mhm.
the second one I bought was?
I do.
The first Utopia album, which blows my
Oh,
mind.
the psych record. I mean
Yes,
the
the Prague album,
record.
and
God.
then I bought Something Anything. So that was the order of my Todd
Mhm.
purchases, and then I got Ra, then I got Wizard of True Star, and then I just bought everything. I just At that point the floodgates were open. I was like, gotta get them all, gotta get them
Yeah.
all. So,
My whole was reading an article in Rolling Stone when they were talking about the face the music. Of course, me being a kid and big into the Beatles, they were praising on how it's not a Beatles record, but it's a Beatle. It's not even a parody, but it's Utopia doing Beatle-like songs, and it's great. If you like Faithful, you'll like this.
and do you
And
know, up until a few years ago, I despised that album.
really,
Yeah, because I didn't want someone or any band doing something like the Beatles, and I thought it was too far removed from what Utopia were as a band.
but
Until
then
many years later, and I was like, I just need to accept it for what it is. It's actually really great, right? So yeah,
it's great. It's great because Todd can write a Beatles song.
of course he can. Yeah.
And the thing is with
I didn't want him to though back then, Grant. I was like, I don't want you doing this. No.
I know we're just rapping, but think about it. The people that wanted adventures, AOR, that album's, the hits, New Wave Riders, Adventures, those great songs, the guitar,
Caravan. That's
Caravan,
so good.
freaking great.
Ah,
People probably wanted another one of those. And then when they turned around and did Deface the Music, the same thing with Something Anything to Wizard. People went,
what?
where's Caravan? Where's Last of the New Wave Riders? It's Todd just can't pigeonhole him.
No, you
So
can't.
this brings us to my top two after we went on a tangent, but
Yes.
tangents are fun.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to go with Runt, the Battle of Todd Rundgren, because I'm a sucker for Todd sitting down playing the piano
Preferably without the noose around his neck. Right?
without the noose. This is the fact that Something Anything followed this up, it makes sense. You got Runt, you've got Ballad, you've got Something Anything, and then of course you got Wizard, which doesn't make sense in the whole progression. But 12 piano led ballads, Todd, very soulful. The songwriting on here is great. The Hunt brothers are on this record, but not very much because Todd got to the point where he was like, you know what? Being the control freak he was, he thought, well, I can play it all. So they're only on a couple of tracks on here. Long Flowing Robe. The songwriting on this is absolutely stunning. Ballad of Denny and Jean,
Yeah.
Pop Goodness, Bleeding, The Wailing Wall, The Range War. it's one piano based track after another. And like I said, he was totally into Laura Nero. It totally shows on here. Once he got to Something Anything, that kind of left. Todd kind of developed more into his own style. This still is in that Laura Nero thing, and he loved that. Boat on the Charles is great. Be Nice to Me, syrupy goodness. Hope I'm Around. Oh, I love this record. I absolutely love it. It, it didn't do anything on the charts. Got up to like 214. It totally failed. Had no backing from Bearsville. Be Nice to Me. I'm looking at the single chart. Be Nice to Me, which I do would think in my mind does sound like the single. Only got up to like, it did get up to 71. That's not too bad. But this is a 5-star record. The reviews for this record, when you look at them, everybody gives us a good review. It's a great record. Not many people really know about it because really it never sold for shit. I think, even though you rated it low, but it's really not. Look,
number
he
10
can
out of
give
all
it
his
his
albums.
number
Pretty good.
10.
Yeah.
I'm giving it my number 2. This just goes to show you how great this catalog is. And even Pete's number 10 and my number 2, it's still great. So yeah, that is my that's my number 2. Now my number 1, you're probably gonna figure out what my number 1 is because it's everybody's number 1. It's Something Anything. Came out in 1972. This is Todd doing what Todd does best. And I think this is a perfect work. The damn track, it starts off with I Saw the Light, which is power pop goodness. In fact, that song's the reason why this is why we have Wizard, because he could write I Saw the Light over and over again in different variations. And he wasn't challenged. The guy's brilliant. So I get that you, as an artist, you need to be challenged. So yeah, we have Something Anything. This is a desert island album for me. It is 11 star. I would give it 20 stars if I could. I love it. It wouldn't have made any difference. One of Todd's best ballads just gets you. It just gets you right in the chest. And then it jumps to Wolfman Jack. And now you're thinking, well, that's quite a change. A beautiful ballad. And then we jump right into Wolfman Jack, which is a song about Wolfman Jack. It works. I can't explain it. But like my criteria, sequencing, production, songwriting, vocals, if I'm going to turn someone on to it, it would be this. Does the sequencing make sense? No, but it works for some reason, and I think probably the reason it makes sense, Pete, is because the songwriting on here is so strong.
Yeah.
Todd's never put out a batch of songs like this ever. Ever. Everything is classic. Everything is perfection. It takes two to tango. This is for the girls. We got songs on here about the clap, for God's sakes. We've got heavy guitar. I don't even know where to begin on this record because it's so great. Side 2 has that intro where he's talking about recording in the studio on, here's a tape glitch. Why in the world is that on there? But it works.
It works. Yep.
Then you go into Breathless, The Night the Carousel Burned Down, Marlene, the Song of the Viking. I Went to the Mirror, which is kind of like, reminds me of the Beatles. Kind of reminds me of, what does it remind me of? I don't know. I'm Only Sleeping or something, but it's kind of Beatle-esque to me. Side 3, you've got Black Mariah, one of Todd's heaviest songs, and I know you like that.
Oh, yeah.
Guitar, Todd's just letting it go. Beautiful. One More Day, we're back to the pop thing. Beautiful. Couldn't I Just Tell You? Another Utopia.
Yeah.
Utopia would play this all the time.
Yep.
It's great. But, it's just all over the place, but it works. And that's how you know it's such a great record. If you can take sequencing and just sequence it to where none of it makes sense, but then it still works in the end. This is a record. This is that record. Side 4, which I think is absolutely wonderful, is just him messing around with the studio band.
Yeah.
It's loose. It's fun. It sounds great. And of course, you've got the iconic Hello, It's Me, which was an original Nas song that they did back in the day that Todd reconfigured it and brought out its true potential. Because you have to admit, the version from Nas is kind of,
It's
well,
good,
there's a,
but it's not like
it's not this.
no,
And
no.
this deserves everything it got on the pop charts. Beautiful. But then you've got, what came before Hello, It's Me is a song called Piss Aaron. Great. Some folks are even whiter than me. You left me sore.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have to go into what those are. And then you follow it up at the end with the song called Slut.
Yeah,
Now, you're sitting here going, how does this work? But it works.
yeah, it does.
And the critics have always said this is the best Todd record. I agree, it's the best Todd record. Hands down, it's the most fun. It's the most soulful. It's everything. Give me a box to check, Pete, and I'll check it off.
You'll check it.
It's
And
great.
another thing that we haven't even really touched on, and there's a reason why I didn't name this album on my show with Martin the other day, that ear candy, is
Yeah,
because this album is full of ear candy on almost every single song.
right. Yeah, you've got spoken word, for God's sakes. You've got all that studio banter. When he's talking to the female singers and, Todd's talking about saccharin and, it's so loose and enjoyable that when you put the headphones on, you just want to listen, you know. What are they all talking about? It is total ear candy. I as far as yeah, I don't know what else I can say. I'm all worked up. This is a great record. If you're getting into Todd, you can start here, ladies and gentlemen, I'd say.
And with
There you
all
go.
that being said, it's everyone's number one, except it's my number two.
Oh,
Actually,
wow.
but here's the deal. For me, there's one A and one B. So for me,
Okay.
it's pretty much a tie. But I will agree with everything you said. I have flip flopped my top two for years, and it's just there's sometimes I'm more into one than the other, but I love both of them. Yeah, it's so good. Look at that. There we go. Something, anything. He's got everything there, right?
Yeah, he's
Uh,
doing it all in
doing
his
it all, man. Doing it all. I mean, there's just some drop dead classics on here, and that's generally always the reason why I might push this to number one above my number one for today. I mean, I Saw the Light is amazing. How about those George Harrison like slide guitars all over that song, man? It's like, I for years I was always like, was Harrison in this like session and they just didn't credit him? Or I mean, because it's just like it totally sounds like him. Totally.
There's that Rick Derringer's on this record.
Rick Derringer's on this record. Yeah, there's loads of guys on this album. Some really big players are on here. You mentioned I wouldn't have made any difference. Amazing. Hello, It's Me. The transformation from the very good Nas version to this is like night and day. I mean,
The
this
the Nas version's like a demo when you listen to what
100%,
and
100%.
I can listen to this and never get tired of it.
Never get tired of it. And my favorite song on the album is Couldn't I Just Tell You, which
Yeah.
is just brilliant. What a brilliant song. It rocks. It's kind of like
Power pop.
pop. Yeah, it's just so good, man. So good. Song of the Viking, Black Mariah, You Left Me Sore, Torch Song. I mean, and the production is amazing. It just
Yeah.
there's nothing bad on here. It's
I
only number
I
two
will say
for
real
me.
quick, it's not Todd doing the production. Well, he's producing. He's not recording this. This is James Lowe that was in the Electric Prunes. So Todd hadn't really started engineering anything yet. So, you could let Todd just do what Todd does, and James Lowe is the engineer. And I think you mentioned the production and the engineering on this album sounds great.
It's great. Yeah. And the sequence, like you mentioned, the sequence. I mean, it's a lot of songs on here. It's a double album, but it all works. And every side kind of has a different flavor. That's the key. And I think that's the brilliant aspect of this album. It's like the way the songs are grouped together just totally works. Totally works. The only reason it's not my number one today, anyway, is because of this beast. I love A Wizard of True Star. I think this, and you said it perfectly. It's weird, but it works. You've got, international feel is just absolutely terrific. It's psych, it's prog, it's pop. It's like Never Neverland just tugs at the heartstrings.
Mm-hmm.
Like I absolutely love that. Zen Archer is brilliant. You got all these little 1 minute long tracks that like you would think, he's just throwing shit out there. But man, it just
No, it
you
works.
expect after you hear it a few times, you expect what's going to come next, one after another after another. Sometimes I don't know how to feel is, or I don't know what to feel is haunting pop that only Todd can do. I can listen to that song over and over and over again. I mean, just I just right now I hear that chorus in my head and I'm just like, oh, it's just so beautiful. Is It My Name completely rocks. Just One Victory is an absolute gem. And man, that R&B medley is genius on an album
Genius.
where it doesn't fit, but it does.
Yeah.
But it does. This is such a great album. You know, folks, if you're watching, you've never listened to Todd Rundgren before, my recommendation is go out and get these two immediately. They don't sound alike, but to me, this is the absolute perfection when it comes to what this guy can do. But there's a lot of albums that are really, really great.
I'd go with any of these. You're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see the only reason I'm choosing something anything because I think that's probably the good gateway drug because it'll
Oh, it is. Oh, and
head,
yeah, you should choose something.
but
Anything.
this is a
I
little
should have.
more out there. So once you wet your whistle a little bit,
That's yeah.
this
I
is
would
just
say if
brilliant, just as brilliant.
to me, honestly, if I were to give someone pick two that are the best place to start for Todd, the pop guy, you should get these two because these two I think
Yeah.
go hand in hand, even though they were released a number of years apart. Once you've kind of graduated from that, then you can go anywhere here, right? Because you know, even the debut I think is another really good choice too, because that's more of like Todd the rocker, Todd not really going into the experimental side of things yet. But
Right.
these are all great. There's so many great things on a lot of these albums, so you know,
Yeah, you just have to start somewhere.
you got to start somewhere. Got to start somewhere. So my dog is annoying the crap out of me. You know, my wife is dog training in the garage, and my husky does not like to not be involved. So she is like
I understand.
she's just pacing all over the place, like I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. I'm like, you can't. When Mama needs you, she will call on you. So you just need to chill out.
Just patience for crying out loud.
She has none of it. She has none of it. And it's always got to be one. Yeah, I know. I heard you. I heard you. Grant and I have three other album rankings on tap for the first quarter of 2024. I'm going to name them just so you know what's coming. So for those of you who like to kind of get ready for these, now's your chance. You have plenty of time. We are going to be doing a ranking of, we're going to do a couple of Yacht Rock things. We're going to do Pablo Cruz and Player, both really good bands. They don't have enormous discographies, not like this. So we'll be doing that in the near future. And then one that's been asked for a long time, Badfinger. So we will announce fairly soon what that next one will be. In fact, he and I will make that decision today, and then we'll announce in the schedule when it's going to happen. Coming up a week from today, Mr. Simon Bray from the UK Connection and I will be ranking the Johnny Van Zant albums, the great Johnny Van Zant band albums, right? And we got a couple Van Zant ones in there as well, so we're going to combine those. So that's happening a week from today, and lots more in the schedule. Craig Kaminsky and I are going to do the great psychedelic stoner band Nebula, and Jamie Laszlo and Karen LaPreziosa and I are going to do Yob at some point, the great kind of stoner doom band, and there's all sorts of other stuff on the agenda. So stay tuned for all that more. Grant, you want to give everybody a little
Holy
taste of what's
mackerels.
happening?
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the warehouse and there's a lot going on in the contrarians. I'm always trying to boost this, but every Wednesday, well, we didn't do it this past Wednesday. We kind of took off New Year's Christmas break, but we do the contrarians live chat every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And we're pretty much covering album covers right now, but we'll mix it up. So it'll be Martin, Jamie Laszlo. It's usually the same characters, Todd Evans. But we will be doing that next week, and I can't remember what we're talking about. I do know what we're talking about, but now I can't remember. I can't remember everything, Pete. It's hard. But on Grant's Rock Warehouse, we've been doing a series on Grand Funk where I'm not really a big Grand Funk guy, but DC Tune Time's on it, and we're doing a series where he's trying to convert me into Grand Funk. And we just covered the live album that just aired last night, December 30th. And it went pretty well. I'm still there. And we did a one and done. We have a one and done series on my channel where we look at bands that just put out one record and that was it. And we looked at Flint. I don't know why there's so much Grand Funk content on my channel right now, but there is. So if you like Grand Funk, go over to Grant's Rock Warehouse and check that out. There's always stuff coming up. I don't know. I'm busy between two channels. I'm busy, Pete.
I hear you. I know what that's all about. So
Yeah.
yeah, busy's good though, I guess, until it gets too
It's
busy.
better than not busy than because the mind starts interfering and the mind can be a terrible thing.
Yes, I know. I know.
So busy's good.
Yeah, this is good. So go give some love over to Grant's Rock Warehouse, the YouTube channel. Give them a like as well as the Contrarians. And as far as like what we got going on here, so in just a little bit, we've got the Sea of Tranquility 2023 award show happening in just a little while. So stay tuned for that. And George Lemie, Stephen Reed, and myself will announce all the show winners and people winners from 2023 as voted by you, the dedicated fans. So tune in, check that out. And then tomorrow, it's 2024, people. So for everybody who's going out tonight, please be careful, but enjoy yourselves and ring in the new year. And we'll see you on the flip side in 2024. For Grant Arthur, I am Pete Pardo. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube all together, all the damn time. See you in a week for ranking the albums. Johnny Van Zant Band with Simon Bray. Till then, have a good one, everybody. Enjoy. Happy New
See ya.
Year.